to our guest, Titus Bond, who is, of course, with Axiom, Remington Research Group, I should say, and Axiom Strategies. Titus, how are you? A little tired?
It's been a long 2 weeks, but, this is the light at the end of the tunnel.
I'll bet you can. So I appreciate you giving us some time today. When I had you on a week and a half ago or so, you told me that you believed at that point this race would come down to Colorado. Where do things stand today in your mind?
Today, so we did another round of surveys mid last week. We can take Wisconsin off the board. We still have Trump leading in Florida, Nevada, North Carolina, and Ohio. Those are small leads in those four states. So it's going to come down to field in those four states. He must win those four states if he's going to win the presidency, in my opinion. And he has basically what I see as three opportunities outside of that to go ahead and pick up. Pennsylvania would put him over the top. Colorado would put him on the top, or New Hampshire would put him in a tie. So Pennsylvania, I believe, we had Clinton, our latest polling shows Clinton up 1 in Pennsylvania, up 1 in Colorado. I feel like Donald Trump's message resonates better in Pennsylvania. The demographics work better there. It's a whiter electorate, no Hispanic vote at all. So African-American turnout is down, not as much intensity on the Democrat side. So I see Pennsylvania as his best option at this point, with Hispanic turnout up so high in Colorado.
Wow. So a lot of people today were saying North Carolina, but I don't see New Hampshire on your rundown here. What do you have numbers from New Hampshire?
I don't have numbers from New Hampshire. I've just been following the public surveys there. Unfortunately, New Hampshire has some state laws in regards to phone calls that, we're going to follow the rules where a lot of other people don't, but we can't afford not to follow the rules because how profile of a firm we are.
So when we've heard the last week or so from these research companies that this race has really tightened up, I was looking at your battleground counties, and one of them was Hamilton County, Ohio, which is close to where I grew up. And just to give people an idea, you had Trump up 5 there at the end of October, but on November 3rd, the last polling, he was only up by 1. I mean, that's a pretty significant drop.
Yeah, it is. He's closing out. I believe he's going to close out Ohio. We haven't surveyed those counties in a while.
Okay.
In 2 weeks or so. But I believe he's going to close out Ohio. Sandusky, he has a decent lead in that county, which is another bellwether there in Ohio. So I think he's going to close out Ohio. And North Carolina, everyone's getting into the early voting early. What are the demographics of who's voting early? And at this point, this is probably only the third election we've had to deal with early vote, and it's going up every single cycle. We don't know if these parties are cannibalizing their election day vote, if these are new voters, if these are people that wouldn't normally vote at all. So the analyzation of the early vote really shouldn't be done right now. It takes up time, and it's something to fill a news feed, but right now, I don't think it has anything to do with polling numbers. If Democrats have a 4-point advantage in early voting at this point, there just isn't enough evidence or data to back up any type of trends on that pattern.
So when you back to Pennsylvania for a moment, since you're saying that's the key, I guess the problem is Pittsburgh and Philadelphia are such centers for the Democrats. He has to have a huge turnout outstate, correct?
Yeah, he's leading very, very big in Wilkes-Barre, Scranton area. Typically goes slightly Democrat. That the Democrat will kind of like break even. He leads in that area by 25 points, so he picks up votes there. And right now we have the Pittsburgh media market, so that includes all the suburbs and rural areas that see a Pittsburgh TV station. We have Donald Trump up 1 point in Pittsburgh.
Wow.
And down 23 in the Philadelphia media market. So they're picking up a lot of margin in Philly, but he's breaking even, which is what he needs to do in Pittsburgh, and he has a huge margin in Wilkes-Barre. So if he can get a couple more points out of Pittsburgh, or if African American turnout is down in Philadelphia, he can turn Pennsylvania. But again, the uphill climb for him is organization. From a campaign perspective, is how many boots on the ground he has to drag his voters out to make sure people are getting to the right polling locations and that type of deal. So we'll see if that infrastructure or not having that infrastructure in place has hurt him at all. If we wake up tomorrow and he loses Pennsylvania, Michigan, Florida, Colorado, those type of states by less than 3 points, that'll be a lot of regret on his part for not investing the millions of dollars that would be necessary for a ground game.
Oh, I'm thinking so. So your last, so correct me if I'm wrong here. Your last polling that I'm seeing here is November 3rd, which would have been last Tuesday. And there's been a lot of talk of Trump building momentum the last couple of days. Do you think you're polled? Are you comfortable that it's reflective of today?
A lot can change. That 7% of voters that migrate between a candidate and undecided, leaving undecided usually around 3 to 5%. The final week, 3% is always going to say they're undecided. But there's like a migration jumping between candidates and undecided that voters go through that are truly undecided. So I think these numbers are steady given a equal turnout operation on both campaign parts. Now, if Trump has a better intensity, for example, in Pennsylvania, he can pull off Pennsylvania. If he doesn't have that intensity and doesn't have that ground game, then we could see Hillary winning by 3 in Pennsylvania.
Wow.
Same goes for Colorado. But I think we're pretty safe in Florida and North Carolina and Ohio.
Very good. Titus Bond.
Which will keep us up later at night as we wait for the rest of the states to come in.
Yeah, you think it could be a late night, huh?
Yeah, well, Missouri, we're going to be up anyway, waiting on Roy Blunt here. So that race, you're going to be probably not going to know about until tomorrow morning. So,
do you have any internals on that one that you can talk about?
That race is deadlock tied.
Wow.
Yeah. So that again, this is the big. You see a common theme here going around the country. It's going to come down to if Democrats are activating African Americans to vote. So according to our models, we had African Americans in Missouri at 14%. If they come below 14%, every point below 14% will take off about a third of a point off the ballot for a Democrat. So if Democrats turn out at 10% instead of 14%, then you're going to see Roy Blunt win by 2 points. So
interesting. Do you have any numbers on our governor's race?
Governor's race as well is tight within the margin of error. Chris Coster has a slight lead. But again, this is going to come down to St. Louis City, not county. We're going to wait for St. Louis City to come in around 5 in the morning when they usually do so. So
yeah,
I think that's when we'll find out. When St. Louis City makes their dump is when we'll find out who wins Senate and governor. All the other Republicans down ballot are in really, really good shape.
Except lieutenant governor?
That race is tied.
Tied. Right, wow, that's good.
Yep. So he's made up a couple points of ground there in the past week. So that race is now tied, and Blunt will win. The rest of the down ballots will win, and then Amendment 3 will lose handedly. Amendment 4 looks like it's going to pass. And voter ID looks like it'll pass handedly as well.
Oh wow. Well, that's good to know. I appreciate that, and I'll direct people to your website there to axiomstrategies.com if they want to look at some of these individual state polling numbers that you were talking about. Titus Bond, thanks so much for your time. I know it's been a busy last couple of months for you.
Yep. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Absolutely. Have a great day.
You too.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, tight races everywhere. And